Norway just banned AI in primary schools, and students from grades 1 through to 7 will be, in the government's words, shielded from AI in the classroom. So lower secondary school students can begin careful testing, but the directive came directly from the Prime Minister, who said that the most important thing in school is that our children learn to read, write and do maths. So as someone embedded inside ethical AI implementation, I back this fully. Children between the ages of 5 and 12 do not need AI in their hands in the classroom. But I do actually want to reach into what are we actually trying to produce when we educate a child. The skills that will determine how well a person can navigate an AI-saturated world are actually not technical skills. They're foundational human skills. Reading for meaning, writing to think and process and to have judgment, the capacity to sit with someone else's perspective and genuinely try to understand it. The ability to coordinate teams, under pressure, to delegate tasks, to trust or to disagree productively. These are the skills that AI cannot and will not be able to do for you. These are also, not coincidentally, the skills that uncritical AI use in early education actively degrades. So there is some pretty substantial research behind this. Studies on generative AI in school settings consistently show that students who offload to a model and skip that cognitive struggle that actually builds the neural architecture for those skills, that's the problem. You do not learn to read by having something else read for you. You do not learn to think by offloading a cognitive task. But Norway's announcement also services a gap. And I actually just want to dive into it for a second, because knowing that AI exists, how it works at a conceptual level, where it gets things wrong and why, what it can't do, that is actually AI literacy. And it belongs in primary school, even if the tools do not. And what we want is school children who reach secondary with strong enough foundations that when they do encounter these tools, they are interrogating them rather than just deferring to them. And this is where the Australian education system also has its own reckoning to do, separate from what Norway is announcing. Like, our whole assessment structures still largely reward individual knowledge retention under time pressure. So the essay on historical facts, the test that measures what you can reproduce in a certain setting. These are not preparing students for a world where information is abundant and the scarce resource is actually judgment. So what if instead of assessing individual recall, we assess the capacity to take a position that you actually disagree with and argue it convincingly, which is essentially what a debate structure forces? What if we assessed how well a group of students coordinated to solve a problem that they hadn't seen before and built the infrastructure to make that the genuine learning environment rather than just a chaos experiment that reviews the final output? How about we teach students how to give constructive feedback to each other, to listen intently to different perspectives? The role an individual has always been assessed more than the collective output. And these are not soft skills. They're actually the skills that most AI resilient workers need to be developing right now. And our schools are just not actively and systematically building them in our students.